Okay, so finally, the end of season 1. Um, this one takes you for a real loop because, like I said, it pulls the thread at all the little questions and everything and unravels it. Um, so everybody's fighting that boss, and he's giving them a run for their money. But they show some cool action scenes, and they're beating the shit out of this thing. They finally got it down to the last sliver of health, and then Heathcliff's like, "Everybody, fuck it up!" And so everybody's attacking it. They kill it, and everybody's exhausted because it was a long battle. They didn't show most of it. It happened in between the episodes, but because the end of the last episode, they fought it for like a few minutes and looked like they were doing some damage. Then they showed its health bar, and it hadn't even moved. And then towards whenever they pick up here, they show a little bit of fighting, and then it's almost dead. I'm like, okay. I mean, you could have. We get it, but I mean, you could have like done a montage or something to show the passage of time to indicate that it was a really long battle versus just being like, if you remember from the last episode, he was at full health and they fought it for a while and didn't do anything to it. So, I mean, that, again, show, don't tell. And that's not even telling you, like, unless you were paying attention, you totally miss it. Like, okay, they were fighting it. Okay, well, they beat it. So, they beat it. Everybody's resting up. Long battle. They're like, how many people did we lose? And they're like, 14. And Agile's like, we got 25 more bosses to beat. That's stronger than this guy. So yeah, that kind of puts everyone in a dejected mood. And then Kirito's looking, and he notices something that has been bugging him ever since he had to duel Heathcliff. Heathcliff, no one's ever seen his HP out of the green zone. Even now, everybody took some major hits. And so he gets up and he makes a beeline for him and tries to stab him in the face. And there's a familiar pop-up that happens with a shield. Not his shield, a shield. Immortal object. And then Kirito was like, yeah, I should have known. Why would somebody make a RPG or even watch people play an RPG and not want to play it themselves? Isn't that right, Kaiba Akihiro, the guy who made the game? And he said, how very perceptive of you. I had planned to reveal that I was the final boss after we made it to the last floor. And then we'd have our epic duel. And then somebody's like, you sneaky traitorous mother. And he tries to attack him, and he's just like, all right, well, if y'all gonna be like that, he sits there and he paralyzes everybody except for Kirito. He's like, I commend you for figuring out my secret. I guess I should go to the top and just wait for y'all. But you know what? You did such a good job at forcing my hand earlier, having to use assist mode to block your attack, and even figuring out everything. I'll give you a special chance. I'll let you duel me fairly. And if you win, then you win. You win the game. You don't have to go the rest of the way. And you can save everybody. And that really pisses Kirito off, because then they play replay every death that he's been involved in any way. And then it ends on Yui disappearing. And he flips out. He's like, you got your wish. But I have a request. Based off of the conversation that him and Asuna had in the previous episode, he's like, I don't plan on losing, but if I do, you have to make it where Asuna can't kill herself, at least for a little while. And she's like, no, you can't do that. Ah. And he's like, fair enough, I can do that. And so then they start fighting. And it's not like every other fight, because usually, I mean, yeah, they do their own thing for the most part, but it usually ends with somebody doing a sword skill. Now, if you remember, to do the sword skill, this is explained back in episode 1, they don't touch on it again. If you have to do a specific motion or something in order to activate the sword skill. And once it's activated, you're locked in. So Kirito's like, well, this dude made all the sword skills, so he knows how to block all of them and counter them. So I have to beat him on. And he's like, he goes in full guns blazing. He's like a whirling dervish of crazy attacks, and he's like doing flips over him and everything. And Heathcliff gets a scratch in on his face. And that really ticks him off. So then he starts to go into the starburst stream motion, and it kicks off, and he's like, fuck, I lost. I'm sorry, Asuna. And sure enough, Heathcliff blocks everything with his shield and then waits for that last attack, which it's like a charged up attack. So he's got a big opening there. And he goes to take him out. And again, this has happened before. Through sheer willpower, somebody jumps in the way of the attack. It was Asuna. And her health bar goes all the way down. She says, I'm sorry. I love you. And then she bursts into nothingness. Yeah, obviously that kind of breaks his spirit, his sanity. Like, he screams for a while, and then Heathcliff's like, well, I didn't expect that somebody could overpower that, but, well, little do you know, Kirito did that 7 episodes ago. So, like I said, he's broken. His sword got broken on that last attack. And so he picks up Asuna's sword, which fell, and he's like, and Heathcliff is just looking at him like, dude, this is pathetic. I'm gonna put you out of your misery. Knocks one of the swords away. He's still holding Asuna's at his side. He just jabs him in the chest with his sword. He's like, you did good, kid. I'm sorry it turned out this way, though. And so we slowly watch his health go down and down until this is gone. And then he remembers Asuna saying, I believe in you. And so he, through sheer willpower, his HP's gone. He's disappearing. And he, like, starts to walk towards Heathcliff. And he gets like a fucking murderous glare in his eyes. And he stabs Heathcliff through the chest, depleting him to 0. So technically, the game ended. So Kirito disappears. He wakes up in what looks like heaven, but it's probably like a purgatory type thing. Because even... It must take a few seconds or a minute or a few minutes to cook a brain to the point where it's dead with microwaves. That's why they had that Santa thing in right after Sachi died, where it said you have like a minute or 3 minutes or whatever it was to revive them. So it's not like they're instantly gone. And this all happens very quickly. And so he's like looking around. It looks like heaven. It's just bright orange light everywhere. And then he hears somebody say, Kirito? And he turns around to Suna. He's like, where are we? She said, I don't know, but look at that. And it's the floating castle, Ironcrad, the place they were at. And it's breaking apart. And they're watching it just crumble away. And they see their house on floor 22 being broken in half and fallen. And then there's another person there, Kaiba Akihiro. And he looks like his actual real life self. And he gives them a, little speech about, that castle was his dream. And he doesn't really know what drove him to make it the way that it is now. But he always wanted to make a place that subverted this world's law. But he never thought that he would create a world where his law would be subverted by somebody else. And he said, maybe somewhere there's a world in existence where my dream has come true. And, and I mean, the two of them are like, well, we're dead. So, I mean, we might as well agree with him. And maybe there is a place. He's like, well, I got to go. Because here's the thing. By this point, everybody in the real world knows that he was the one who did all this. So he's been under surveillance for the moment that he comes out of that thing, so he can be arrested for murdering 4,000 people, or any amount of people really. And so I guess he logs out just to be like, well, let me go get arrested. And then Kirito and Asuna, they share their last goodbyes, and everything vanishes. And it's first person view of somebody opening their eyes. And it's Kirito in the hospital, looking very emaciated. And he starts to tear up. He has a vision of Asuna. And you could see the thoughts running in his head. It's like, well, if I'm alive, that must mean that she's alive. So, defying real life, like I said, you can't stop this dude from doing what he wants. Been in a coma for 2.5 years, basically. Atrophied all to hell. Stands up, holds himself up on the, I don't know what you call him, but it's the thing that holds the bag of the drip. It's got wheels. And just walks off, ripping off all the cords and stuff that's strapped to him. And just starts off down the hallway going, Asuna. Like, I'm going to go find her. And that's the end of season 1. Like I said, the action scenes are good. They only get better. The next season, it's got a lot less sap to it. About the same amount of filler. Some really good battles. But we'll get into that when we get into that. Which is probably going to be tomorrow. Because now that I'm off, I can actually watch more than one episode a day. And I might as well just go ahead and, knock a bunch of these out. So, anyways, thanks for watching.